on the NUS?
I think the biggest, first and foremost thing that is on everyone's mind for this thing is the Zayn Malik and Sadiq Khan were put there as examples for Black History Month because Kent Union was following the NUS's guidelines. The NUS, however, is an organisation wrapped full of little ridiculous things which I think actively harm students.
Can you give us an example?
For example, this appeared in the papers quite a lot, but in the same day as they voted to condemn UKIP, they decided to not condemn ISIS. Another thing that the NUS did was they voted to ban clapping at their conferences and replace it with jazz hands. Now you see, you might think, okay, well that's silly stuff, but it matters because every time there's an article when they do something right, then it appears, oh by the way, don't you remember all this silly stuff the NUS did? I think that several universities have disaffiliated themselves recently, including Hull, and I think that students just need
Are you ready to be the candidate that potentially leads to Kent Union out of the NUS?
Potentially. Although during the referendum, unlike certain prime ministers and presidents that we can all think of, I will be neutral in the referendum.
Okay, that's a nice comparison you've made for yourself. So Natalie, we'll continue down the line about the NUS. What are your thoughts on it? Would you also have a referendum?
No, I had actually the idea of a referendum I did think about beforehand, but because I haven't worked with the NUS closely before, I've been elected as NUS delegate this year, which is where you vote on basically who goes in and things like that. I haven't worked with them closely, and yes, we can read things in the media, but unless you work with them closely, then that's the only way you will really know. I feel like it's something you should only really say if you've had proper experience with them before. This is the reason why I decided to go against the NUS referendum. And also, they are there to represent us, so what I think is better is to work on building a relationship with them and choosing officers who we feel will represent Kent more, because they are a representation for at a higher level than just local.
So you think it's necessary representation, but there's always improvement in the relationship? It's better to stay in and change from the inside?
Yeah, I mean, I might come, like, if I were elected, I might in a year's time completely change my mind and be like, that was a terrible idea. I don't know why I did that. We tried all we could and it didn't work. But because I haven't done that yet, I feel like it would be wrong for me to say, oh, we should just leave, they're not worth the time.
Okay, thank you. Pranav? The same question, just outline your thoughts on the NUS and whether you support George and his referendum proposal.
Firstly, I'd like to say that according to a lot of reports, the current NUS president has allegedly said a lot of anti-Semitic things. There have been allegations of rampant anti-Semitism at the head of the NUS. I think as a university that's very inclusive, that respects people of all cultures and religions, and has a prominent and thriving Jewish society, that's quite disgusting. That's something that we should stand up to. And that's something we need to stand up to when we go to the NUS conference. That's something I believe our present sabbatical officers didn't do in a satisfactory manner. I would also like to say that George has an idea about having this NUS referendum, but he doesn't want to cast in his lot with any side. So he said we're going to have this referendum. Currently, it takes us about 2 months to organize a society by-election. So where are the resources going to come for this referendum? Who's going to organize this referendum? And is this just another version of Kent Union saying, you know what, we don't have the responsibility to do anything. We cannot make decisions on your behalf, even if you've elected us. I believe we need to stand up to the NUS and we need to make it really clear that what they're doing and the way they're going about things is unacceptable to most of our students. And I would also say that a referendum would mean that the current partnerships that the NUS enjoys, that is the NUS discount card, that a lot of our students enjoy, that would mean that you don't have those benefits. So if we want to leave, we need to have a plan as to how to renegotiate those benefits, those student discounts that I know and love, and I'm quite sure all of you do as well.
Okay, sure. You obviously have made a big thing about the Black History Month, whatever you want to call it, that happened last month. Do you not blame the NUS?
I will say that Kent Union spent about £8 or £9 million last year on various miscellaneous things. I'm sure they could have spent a pound or two to figure out the difference between someone who's black and white and Asian.
Yes,
and
but
I think- and
as
I
has
would-
been as has
yeah.
been said, is that the policy for this definition of Black History Month came from the NUS and wasn't completely the individual decision of the SARBs.
I think there is a reason why we had this controversy last year and no year before that. I hope we won't. If I'm elected, we won't have it afterwards, definitely. It is obviously up to us as sabbatical officers to make discretionary decisions when it comes to such basic things, and to have a marketing campaign that in fact doesn't insult a large segment of the student population. So it's very easy for the officers to say, you know what, we got this guideline from the NUS. But when they even went as far as to say that this was a decision taken by all volunteers of Kent Union, they indicted every single society member, committee member, sports society member, and they were completely all right with it. It's not the NUS, it's you. We've elected you to represent us in the NUS. You are the person who's accountable to us, and the NUS president may be accountable to us through you. But the sabbatical officers are the intermediaries, and that is something that lies on them. It doesn't lie on the NUS.
So the buck stops with the president of the union.
Absolutely.
And Ruth, obviously, you were inside the office at the time, and you've had obviously more dealings with the NUS than most other people on the stage. Where do you stand on George's proposal and then Pranav's accusations of alleged anti-Semitism and other issues with the NUS? You said yourself earlier that they're not particularly representative, so could you just elaborate on that?
I don't think the NUS is perfect, and I don't think it represents us as much as we would like it to. I was at a NUS conference last year, and I did not vote for the current leadership. I voted for a different president.
Sure.
And I have been very active in lobbying the current president and holding her to account for her actions. I think it's really important that we do that to represent students. I think the NUS can do some really good things, though. The reason that students don't pay council tax was because of the NUS, and the only reason that we get to still vote is because we're still members in the NUS. So to change the NUS, we need to be members of it. But I think that students' voices are the loudest ones in this matter.
Okay. Really quickly, Pranav, because we have to go to
Why
closing
was there not an open letter signed by each and every SAB officer unequivocally condemning the allegations of anti-Semitism? And why is it that you didn't stand up to them and tell us that you were standing up to them?
Okay.
I'm actually the fourth on a list of around 150 sabbatical officers who signed an open letter asking for Malia to resign for her anti-Semitic remarks and to censor her, which is kind of impeaching.
Right. Okay,
and I did also share that on my Facebook page.
Oh, right. So that makes your point null and void.